How is it going, folks? Welcome back to Union Berlin, and welcome back to potentially the last episode of the season. And the reason I say that is because today we have, well, the Europa League, the last competition that really matters for us. And in the Europa League, we have a very difficult semi-final tie. Let's not beat around the bush. We are taking on Tottenham. It's nice to see over on the other side of the competition, Hertha Berlin are in the other semi-final. I'd love to play against our Berlin rivals in the final, but the reality is that this Tottenham team are a Premier League team with significantly more money than us, and given the fact they are 10th in the Premier League with only a handful of games left of the season, well, they are going to be desperate to win this because it's their only route into European football next season. Over in the Bundesliga, we have finished up the season, kind of. There's still 2 games left, but we've played a couple games since last episode. With those results, we have guaranteed ourselves a top 3 finish, and with that, the long-awaited Champions League football has been secured. The board have set the budgets for the upcoming season, £1 million in the wage budget, £17 million in the transfer budget. None of that has been touched yet, and really, I don't want to get distracted by it until we're wrapped up with European football for this season. Welcome back to episode number 27 of Building Berlin. Let's run the intro and get straight into things, shall we? Yes, folks, how do you do? Welcome back to Building Berlin. I'm very excited for today because I'd love to get to the Europa League final. If we don't manage that, if we do crash out here, I probably will just at the end of this episode tack on all the end of season wrappy up stuff, which means you get a transfer special sooner. But on the flip side, I don't really want to do a transfer special sooner. I want to get in a cup final and win something here. Since you were last here, we have played 2 games in the Bundesliga. We won them both. The first was against Mainz, who at one point were a team in threat of being relegated. This season, though, they had a really good recovery second half of the year. Despite that, though, it was the Nemecha show in this game. Lucas, well, he got 3 goals in this game. A nice little hat-trick for him. Takes him to 14 league goals for the season. And you might have noticed elsewhere, there was another Nemecha scoring. Yeah, that's right. Felix, third goal of the season? Third goal of the season. I mean, it's an improvement. The only other game we played here is against Stuttgart. In this game, we actually came back from behind. 1-0 down at half-time. Diamande and Nemecha with the all-important goals. Alex Scott and Zach Hyen with the assists. Another good attacking display. Another game without a clean sheet, though. Clean sheets and defensively, we've not been great this year. I think that is something we do need to improve on. I suppose that is exemplified by the fact that Heidel, in 32 games, has only 9 clean sheets. When you compare that to the likes of Bayern, Leipzig, Stuttgart, all teams who are in and around us towards the top of the table, we are a little bit off the pace in that regard. But that said, the goals have meant we have managed to get that 3rd place secured. 61 points. We're not going to be able to move up or down with 2 games left. So yeah, there's not a lot to worry about when it comes to us. One team who maybe should be worrying is Dortmund. They are still in 16th in the Bundesliga. In fact, they are all but guaranteed to be playing in the relegation playoffs. Mainz just need to get a point or 2 in the remaining 2 games. Dortmund would have to win their last 2 of the games of the season to stay up, which does feel a tad unlikely given how their season's gone. If we just have a quick peek at the Bundesliga too, they are very likely to take on either Hamburg or Hanover in those playoffs. I will be keeping a very keen eye on those games for 2 reasons. Firstly, to potentially steal Dortmund players if they do go down. Potentially, if they were to sack the manager and go down, it'd be a rather tempting save game. I feel like I've been flirting with Dortmund all season. They're probably just going to lose in the playoffs and we don't need to worry about it. Instead, we should be focusing on this game here. We are taking on a Tottenham side who in this timeline still have Harry Kane. He never left to go to Bayern Munich, and instead, he's, well, going to be potentially doing damage to us here. The first leg against Tottenham is at home. With that in mind, we're going to get straight into things. Of course, we have already done the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as an away day in Parc des Princes. It was one of the best stadiums ever. In fact, just yesterday, I was getting an advert on my phone for the Skywalk at Tottenham Hotspur. You can go and walk on the stadium roof, which I kind of still want to do. I mentioned that in the video where I did the away day. The marketing is still lingering with me. It's still appearing on my phone. They know, my phone does at least, that I'm going to play Tottenham today in Football Manager. I feel like it's a sign. One little bit of team news for today's game. Unfortunately, Adriano has picked up a potentially season-ending injury, out for the next 3 weeks, so he is unavailable for selection. The centre-mid, of course, has been a very useful player to have on off the bench. What it does mean, though, is that there is a high chance that Felix Nemecha can have a, well, hopefully a good end to the season by featuring as that super sub spot in the midfield. When you look at the starting 11 for today's game, though, we are at full strength. It's Heidel in goal, Nets and Bullet at left-back and right-back, Torunariga and Martel at the back, nice to see a line between the new centre-back partnership for this season. In the midfield, we're going with Zakharyan, Wiedrego and Kraus. Alex Scott and Diomande on the wings. Diomande, by the way, been in a really good run of form lately. Look at this form. 7.65 rating for his last 10 games. Hopefully he's going to keep that going in the final third. Speaking of men in form, Lucas Nemecha criticised him last episode for only having one good performance in his last 5 games. Since then, he's taken it personally. He's been scoring lots. Have a sneaking suspicion we're going to need him to come up trumps in this one. Anyway, we are going to get straight into this game, submit the team, and we'll hopefully come out on top in the first leg. Of all the opposition we've played in European games this season, as much as it is Tottenham, as much as we like to meme on them and laugh at them and clown on them in real life, they are still a pretty formidable team in Football Manager, especially for a team such as our own that doesn't have the spend of a big Premier League club. If we want to win this game, we're going to have to be at our best. Here is our team. Curious to see, actually, how Tottenham are going to line up here for this semi-final. Are they just going to go for it from the off? And when I look at this team, I think they are just going to go for it from the off. Yeah, that's a pretty good team. Udogie on the far side with the throw-in down the line to Kane. Bullet trying to battle away with it. Doesn't get it though. Now Basuma with the ball for Tottenham. Laying it to Skip. Zakharyan nips in there to get the ball out of Bentaker, but still played forward towards Alex. I was going to say Alex Scott. No, it's not Alex Scott. It's James Maddison. In my head, I was thinking about the fact that they've got an English playmaker playing out on the right-hand side. We have our own English playmaker out on the right-hand side. It's like James Maddison v Alex Scott here. Lucas Nemecha bring the ball forward. Can he hold it up? Diamande's gone down with an injury. The ball is still in play. Scott is going to score it. And well, maybe Alex Scott is better than James Maddison out on the right-hand side. I want to be really, really happy about this goal we've just scored. I am concerned that Diomande has just pulled up during that attack with an injury. Hopefully nothing too serious. Scott there, really good finish. The ball was behind him, but he hit it on the turn and scores it. Now we wait anxiously to see if Diomande is going to be okay. Not indicating he's got a knock, so hopefully he's going to be able to just run it off here. That is a really nice early goal to get. It's kind of funny, actually, looking at the Tottenham setup. They are playing Maddison out on the right-hand side as an advanced playmaker. We are pretty much mirroring them when it comes to both formation and the fact we've got English players on the right-hand side. Obviously, the roles everywhere else, a little bit different, but yeah, a little bit weird. Bizarrely weird, actually. I realise that the term bizarrely weird, terrible use of the English language. Let's focus on the Football Manager action. Maybe that can be a little bit better. There's only a couple of minutes left of this half. Zakharyan, Nemecha trying to get the ball forward, cleared away. Martel nods it down nicely. Wiedrego, Martel, Bullet. The right back bringing it forward, and then Nilsson reads the play nicely. And now Tottenham looking to go long. Harry Kane, that lone forward, unable to be under that one for any kind of flick on of the ball, and instead we are going to try and bring the ball forward in. Nemecha battling away, but equally as isolated as Kane. Not been a classic first half, not a load of chances either way. I think you could argue we've had the better of the highlights at the very least, but well, that's not really saying a great deal. There's not been too many, and while Tottenham might be crafting out their own here, Wiedrego, crunching tackle, wins it. Alex Scott plays in Nemecha one-on-one, and Lucas Nemecha scores his 37th goal of the season. I feared that we'd overpaid for him last January when I spent over £10 million on a striker. It was a bit of a gamble. Made him a massive top earner at the club, but I'll tell you what, the 37 goals this season, all the goals he scored last season, I think justify that cost. We are 2-0 up here. 2 minutes of added time played to end this half. We are going to edge out this first half, but the difference really has just been the finishing. 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Scott and Nemecha with them. I want to praise the players here. I want to say we're doing really well. I'm slightly worried about complacency. And I equally know that Tottenham, we saw it in their quarter-final against Newcastle last episode. They lost the first leg and went on to win the second leg against Newcastle. This is a Tottenham team that can score a lot of goals. And you've got to imagine in this second half, they are going to step it up. They are going to have chances. They are going to have shots on target. There is going to be a storm to weather. And that storm, well, I thought it could be coming there. Harry Kane took it around the goalkeeper. He was offside, but slightly nervy start to the half. Immediately going to shout, demand more. With half an hour played, I think it's time to make some changes. Diomande not having the best of games out on the left-hand side. We're going to bring in Malik Tillman for him. Elsewhere, Zakharyan not having the greatest of games. I'm going to bring in Felix Nemecha, move him over into that centre-mid on attack role and duty that he played for us last year. Wiedrego's going to move across. We're now kind of playing the same system with the same roles that we played all of last season. Very often I don't use individual roles in Football Manager, but I feel like within this system with the players that we have, it's actually fairly flexible. Sometimes with, individual roles, you change a couple of them and suddenly the whole shape and how your team functions is just rather differently. Obviously, we have the Mazzala and the winger. Sometimes we'll switch that for a box-to-box midfielder and an inverted winger. It's not the most radical of changes, but it works for us. And, well, so far in this game, it's worked here. Lucas Nemecha has 1 goal. Free kick in a dangerous area here. Tottenham have a wall set up. It's not in the best of positions. The shot there, cannons off the post. Tottenham get it away from danger. It could have been 3-0. And whilst that wouldn't be game over, it would have been immense for us. And now Tottenham potentially with a corner. Hadel, not had a lot to do today, but that is a nicely plucked away collection by him from the corner. Now can we make something happen out from the back? Martel throws it out to Bullet, down the line to Alex Scott. He's got a goal and an assist this game so far, the Englishman. Recently made his first ever appearance for the England national team. Has also signed a new deal for the club. Big fan of him. Removed his release clause with that new deal. He's pulling the strings again here. And Felix Nemecha, he might be doing a redemption arc. He has got a 3rd goal for us in this game from centre midfield. I've spent the best part of the season slating Felix Nemecha. Adriano's got injured. He's returned to the first team fray, and with it, his form is maybe being rekindled. That is a nice little finish, following in his brother's footsteps. They've both got goals in this game. We're 3-0 up. Not going to get carried away just yet because it is Tottenham. We've still got to go away from home. This has been an idyllic first leg performance. We've looked really good at the back. Tottenham yet to have a shot on target, mind you. And whilst we haven't dominated the ball like we sometimes do, when we have had the ball, we've taken the opportunities that have come. 3 minutes of added time have been played. And with that, the full-time whistle is blown. Great result when you look at the XG story. It was dominant. You have to imagine the second half's going to be more difficult than this, but I don't want to say it prematurely. That does kind of feel like one leg in the final, doesn't it? I've said one leg in the final. I believe the expression I was looking for was 1 foot in the final. I suppose you could have a leg in the final. It's just a bit more than a foot that you're putting in there, isn't it, really? Given the fact that the league games mean absolutely nothing at this point, all focus really for us is on that Europa League game against Tottenham, which is in exactly a week. So Diamande potentially not going to be available for that one. Over in the other Europa League semi-final, by the way, Hertha Berlin and Feyenoord drew 0-0. So still the possibility, the dream of a Berlin final, well, it's there, maybe. Whether or not it is going to come to fruition, we're going to find out in a mo. I'm going to go forward a week. We're going to be heading to London. Can we do the double over Tottenham and win both matches? I mean, we don't even need to do that, do we? You just need to avoid losing by 4 goals, which, without jinxing it, we really should be doing. I'm sat here getting a weird sense of deja vu because when we did the quarterfinals against Atalanta, we had a game midweek where I played the B team. Did that again here. Didn't work here. Although I will say in this game against Werder Bremen, the B team were very unlucky not to get anything from the game. Werder Bremen took the chances that came their way. You can see here a few players who have played in the first team as of late. A few players who really I'd love to give a bit more first team football to help with their development. Players like Kabar, who I fear now may never fulfill his potential. Players like Kwotyen, Aiden as well. Potentially the biggest bust we've had in terms of signings. A player who I wanted to loan out in January but couldn't get a move for him. We've signed him for £7.5 million. He didn't exactly cover himself in glory in this game, although I've not really given him enough of a chance. Couldn't register him for European football either. The kind of player maybe we need to loan out in the summer. But yeah, I digress. The B team, they lost. It's not really the primary concern because, as we discussed already, we're now going to be guaranteed 3rd place. Interesting to note, though, Freiburg, who you may remember last year pipped us to 4th place, they have somehow managed to weasel their way into 4th place with 1 game left of the season. When you look at the actual kind of points totals here, there are 4 teams separated by 1 point, all fighting it out for European football. Very glad that for the first time in this save game, we're not one of those teams having to worry about that on the final day. Now, I did mention before the first leg against Tottenham that this could be the last game of the season and the last episode of the season. Looking at things now, having won the first leg 3-0, desperately hoping we're not about to embarrass ourselves. But having won that first leg, heading to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we should be in a position to win this one. We've rested up the players. Taruna Riga, unfortunately, has picked up a little bit of an injury. Elsewhere, Diamande hasn't needed a fitness test, but when I look at his condition, I just don't think he's worth risking in this game. Does mean that Arian B is coming in to play left centre-back for us. Of course, he was a regular fixture of the first team last year. In the midfield, Zach Kyan moves into the wide area to replace the injured Diamande. Felix Nemecha, who played amazing last game on off the bench, he is going to start alongside Drago. And suddenly, this team looks remarkably similar to the team we had last year. Hopefully, we're going to have a similarly successful end to the season. We won a cup final last year. Let's try and make it to another one this season. Okay, here we are, Europa League semi-final. Tottenham opting for a 4-2-3-1. They are going more attacking for this leg at home. We're going to have to be wary of it. They know the task at hand. They're going to have to attack from the off. Maybe leaves them open to a counter-attack. There was a temptation to perhaps make things way more defensive from our point of view, but defensive ability is just not our strong point. In the midfield, it's not something we thrive with. And with that in mind, I feel like the best port of call for this game is just to stick to the game that our squad is suited to. Saying all of that, we are going to be looking at Addons to potentially make some big stops, just like that one that I've really failed to acknowledge there. He's made a great little stop initially, but there is another highlight right away. Tottenham taking the game to us early on here. Bentancur laying it back, skipping the midfield. Kulusevski, Kane, and then Nielsen through the left-hand side, plays it, keeper parries it, straight into the hands of James Maddison. And while I talked about Alex Scott being better than James Maddison, is that comment going to come back to haunt me here? Tottenham playing the ball through the middle, playing really, really narrow. Evan Nielsen had the initial effort. Addons made a great stop. Sadly, fell straight into the path of the Englishman. Makes it 3-1. Not going to panic yet, he says, as he moves the wing-backs from being on attack and support to both being on the defend duty. Make of that what you will. Okay, good news. Having got that initial goal, Tottenham yet to have another shot in the last, 15 minutes now. We've looked a little bit better, having changed things up. Defensively, maybe slightly more assured, taking less of a gamble, looking instead for taking opportunities like this one. Lucas Nemecha is so clinical. It's another goal for him. His goal-scoring record in this competition has been absolutely stupendous. We have been penned back in this game, not created a lot, and well, in this match here, it's one defence-splitting pass by Alex Scott forward to the striker, Tottenham playing a high line, Lucas gets in behind, he finds the back of the net, and we're back all even, and it could go from bad to worse for Tottenham here, because Nemecha is trying to play the ball forward. It's cleared away by, well, them. Only as far as Kraus, though. We do still have plenty of players committed to the attack. Unfortunately, that does include some of our defenders who could be potentially out of position here if Tottenham can launch a successful counter-attack. Instead, though, we're going to battle away and, well, maybe have a chance here. Felix Nemecha through the middle and, well, scoring another goal for us. It's not Lucas this time, it's his centre mid brother. Don't scratch your eyes. It really is like last season all over again suddenly. Felix Nemecha did nothing for the first half this season, nothing for the second half this season. Today, he's shown up and, well, he's been counted. On off the bench in the last game for a goal, he started this one. The number 10's added another to the collection. With that goal there, 5-1 up on aggregate, looking really, really good now. We've been clinical, we've taken the chances that came our way. Tottenham not having nearly as much of the ball in this game, which is interesting to note. Of course, they are playing a more attacking system. They've ditched that defensive midfielder in favour of a centre attacking mid. It's not really worked so far in this game for them. It's left them slightly more exposed. I think there's been a bit more space in front of their defence to play balls through the middle for our unrushing centre mids. It's, well, looked like a really good performance so far here. And with 30 minutes left, I want to say we should get this done. You look at the match momentum. Maybe it's not done just yet, especially if Paulinho is going to score a goal like that. Paulinho bangs it in, and it's 2-2. It's 5-2. I'm not going to panic yet. I assume that is Paulinho as in the kind of Brazilian striker who used to play for Leverkusen rather than the central midfielder who used to play for Tottenham. I feel compelled to check, but before I can even check, there's another highlight beginning here. Drago dinking it forward. Felix Nemecha in behind. Options queuing up in the middle. Difficult angle for him. Turns his man superbly. Gives it to Drago. His effort's blocked. Falls to Kraus. His effort goes wide. Just to confirm, it is ex-Leverkusen player Paulinho. I think the other Paulinho that we're all thinking of has retired. 3 goals up with, half an hour left in this game. I feel like we can afford to make some changes. Going to change some stuff up at the back. Give some players a rest. Arian B, not been amazing in this game, so going to bring in Bissek. Going to save 2 subs at least for now. But this, well, second leg has gone as well as we could have hoped, especially having conceded that early goal. The game really could have gone away from us, but we've adapted. We've, well, overcome, I want to say. I don't want to say it prematurely, but we have looked pretty solid in this game. Tottenham haven't exactly created a load. It hasn't been a siege here in London where they've been kind of pinning us back at the back. And in fact, we're bringing the ball forward here. Forsby, oh my word. He's been absolutely murdered there by Calvin Phillips. He's been given a straight red. Tottenham down a man. 3 goals down. I'm going to say it now. Game's done. There's no way they're going to come back here from this situation. Even when they're now on the attack, I'm not going to feel worried. It's Højbjerg on the attack on the right-hand side. Down a man. Hadel makes a save. I want to say an unnecessary save. It could still prove to be necessary, I suppose. But yeah, for Tottenham, that is as disastrous as it could get. Calvin Phillips loses his head. The former Manchester City man, sold by Man City to Tottenham in this save game, has lost his head at a crucial moment. It probably hasn't altered the game too much anyway. But if I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be moulding right now. I'd be livid, especially because they have actually looked a bit threatening in this game. They've definitely had the better of the play, but we've hung on in there. We've been clinical, and well, we could now potentially spring a little bit of a counter-attack. Alex Scott in behind, plays it forward to Lucas Nemecha, one-on-one. Forces a superb save out the keeper. 3 minutes left of this game, plus any added time in the other game. It is 1-1 between Hertha Berlin and Feyenoord. This game is going to finish. We are in a European Cup final. I want Hertha Berlin to be the team we get to play. I want to have an all-Berlin affair. Are we going to get the dream? The answer is no. Feyenoord win after extra time, an 108th minute goal, the all-important one, and a rather unlikely Europa League final, if I might say so myself. Feyenoord, currently third in the Eredivisie, find themselves in a European Cup final. I'm looking through the wages that their players on. I'm looking at the value. I'm looking at the scout reports. Bizarrely, I think we might go into the final as favourites. That final, by the way, is going to be played at San Mamés, which I believe is Bilbao Stadium. And if that is the case, which indeed it is an away day that I have already done, sadly. That said, that is going to be a massive cup final for us to look forward to next time, which I think will pair up with a bit of an end-of-season wrap-up that will probably involve lots of planning for the coming season, discussing the squad, maybe even eyeing up that Dortmund job. If we were to win the Europa League final and Dortmund's job became available and they went down, it'd be rude not to take it, right? I feel like I've hidden it awfully. I do fancy the Dortmund job if it comes up. Anyway, we're not going to worry about that right now because we've got a massive European final still to play. We have got to take on Feyenoord. It is a crazy game. I'd argue it's a winnable game. That match takes place on the 21st of May, so it's not even that far away. We're going to be back for that one next time, and I suspect we'll have extended highlights on for a little bit of extra drama. Not sure I anticipated us to get to a European football final so soon, especially in the Europa League, but you know what? I'm not going to complain one little bit. Can we end the season with a third trophy in 3 years? You'll have to tune in next time to find out. I hope you guys are excited for it. Until then, take things easy. I'll see you tomorrow for the final. It's me, Jack. Talk to you all in a bit. I'm out.